Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Past few sessions we have been discussing about the characteristics of the soul. So as described in the second chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, the soul has very, very wonderful characteristics, some of which we already discussed. So we will discuss more today. One question that I would like to raise at this stage is, why does Krishna say that we have to be equal towards happiness and distress? We should be undisturbed by distresses that may come. Certainly, we have experienced happiness is enjoyable and distress is painful. So why would Krishna say this? We have to understand Krishna is explaining that these feelings are temporary and they are felt under ignorance. And what is that ignorance? The ignorance is, I am this body. So fundamentally, something is wrong in our understanding about our own self. Therefore, to correct this misunderstanding is very, very important for anybody who wants to actually get out of this repetition of birth and death. It is very important to get out of this ignorance. And therefore, Lord Krishna is personally instructing us in this Bhagavad-Gita. One more point that is explained in the scriptures is that although there is nothing good in this world, materially nothing is good, but we have got some mental concoction and we say something is good, something else is bad. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, another scripture, the author Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, Dvaite Bhadra Abhadra Jnana Saba Manodharma E Bhala E Manda E Saba Brahma. This means, in the material world, there is something we consider as good and something else is bad, but they are simply mental concoctions. They are not a fact. In fact, everything is only bad in this world. There is nothing really good. Just like a man is suffering from some disease, lying on the hospital bed, and he is having so much of pain, and he is eating bitter medicine, and he is very, very, very sick. And when some friend goes to see him, and the friend asks, how are you feeling today? He says, oh, I am feeling fine. I am all right. Now, where is the question of this person lying on the hospital bed actually considering himself as fine? It's just not possible. He is lying on the bed, he is not able to move around, he is not able to do any normal activities. He is taking medicine, he is having so much of discomfort, he is suffering pain, and he is telling, I am fine, I am alright. So our condition is the same. Please don't think that somebody is healthy, they are fine. No. We have to compare our present situation in this world with our original spiritual situation. As I told you earlier, the original spiritual situation is no disease, no death, no old age, no miseries, no scarcity, no anxiety, no worry, no fear. As compared to that situation, what is our present situation? It is filled with anxiety, filled with worries, filled with fear, filled with so many dangers, filled with so many calamities, filled with so many miseries. So there is no comparison at all. So therefore, in this material world, even if somebody thinks I am very prosperous, I am nicely situated, they are ignorant of the fact that very soon there is going to be death. And after death, there is the next life. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. Anudarshanam means repetition. Cyclically, we go through this birth, disease, old age, and death. Again, birth, disease, old age, and death. So, this cyclically we are going through this. A learned person, an intelligent person considers what is the value of happiness in this world? When I have to die and after death, I have to enter another body, and while living in this body, I have to experience disease and old age and so many other miseries, so many other anxieties. As soon as I die, I will be forced to enter mother's womb. And in the mother's womb, 9 months, I had to be in such a awkward position. All of us have gone through it, but we've forgotten. Every one of us. We were in the mother's womb for 9 months. What a suffering that is. That we have to hear from the scriptures, because we have experienced that, but we have forgotten. That is one of the characteristics of material existence, our present way of living, that the tendency to forget is very prominent. Our first forgetfulness is forgetfulness of God, Krishna. And after that, we selectively remember some things, and many things, many facts we forget. So, we forget what experience we have gone through in our mother's womb for 9 months. So, it is very uncomfortable, very painful situation. So, if you want to be really happy, the scriptures, the acharyas, the saintly persons, they advise, try to become Krishna conscious. That will make you really happy. Otherwise, if you're simply disturbed by material conditions, then you are not in a very good situation. You're not in a very good position. So we also discussed yesterday that the presence of the spirit soul inside this body, in the heart region, is perceived by the presence of consciousness. The soul is a very tiny particle. It is there in the body, but it is invisible. But the tiny particle of spirit, it spreads its influence throughout the body in the form of consciousness. That is why any part of my body, if a small ant even bites the toe or any part of the body, immediately I have experience of pain. So that is the proof of the presence of the soul within the body, the presence of consciousness which is spread throughout the body. Just like if there is sun in the sky, daytime, and sometimes the sun gets covered by a cloud. It is not the sun which is covered by a cloud, it is our vision of the sun that is covered by the cloud. The cloud is few hundred miles wide. The sun is millions of miles big. So a few 500-mile cloud cannot cover a million miles big sun. Not possible. So it is only covering our vision. So when the cloud covers my vision of the sun, even though the sun is in the sky, I still can ascertain the sun is there because of the daylight, the sunlight. Similarly, even though we cannot see or we cannot perceive the spirit soul, the tiny particle of spirit inside the body, by the presence of consciousness, we can say there is a soul in the body. Because as soon as the soul leaves the body, this body becomes a dead body and there is no more symptom of the soul, which is consciousness. No more consciousness. So this way we can understand the presence of the soul in the body through consciousness. This consciousness, we have to understand, is individual consciousness we are talking about. That is, I can perceive the pleasures and pains of my body only. You can perceive the pleasures and pains of your body. If an ant is biting your toe, I cannot feel the pain. You feel the pain. So your consciousness, due to you being in that particular body that you are inhabiting, is spread over your body. It is limited. Your consciousness is limited. My consciousness is limited to my body. Similarly, every living being has got limited consciousness. Whereas the Supreme Lord Krishna, his consciousness is spread everywhere and his consciousness is unlimited. This difference always exists between each one of us and the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna has got unlimited consciousness. Everything about Krishna is unlimited. Krishna has unlimited power, unlimited strength, unlimited wealth, unlimited beauty, unlimited knowledge. Krishna has everything unlimited. Krishna is unlimited person. We are limited. Always we are limited. And we cannot become unlimited by any method. Sometimes people think, let me do meditation and become God. No. We cannot become God by any means. Not possible by doing meditation or by doing any yoga. No. Nobody can become God. One more fact is, we have been hearing about the soul being unchangeable. The soul is eternally the same. If I am a tiny spirit, soul, very, very tiny, I remain that tiny spirit soul eternally. God is unlimited spirit. He is eternally unlimited spirit. So please remember this, that our consciousness is limited. It is spread only over this body. And God or Krishna, his consciousness is spread everywhere. He is unlimitedly conscious. He is conscious of everybody. He is conscious of every person. He is conscious of the entire creation. And he knows everything that is happening in this creation, in every part of the creation. And his ability to know is also unlimited. So, this difference between Krishna and ourselves. Now, one more fact is, Krishna is seated in our heart as the Super Soul or Paramatma, and I am also sitting in this body as the Jivatma. Jivatma. I am Jivatma. Jiva means the living being, and Krishna is the Super Soul, Paramatma. Atma Paramatma, Brahman Parabrahman. Like that, this difference between the Supreme Lord Krishna and ourselves, always there is one characteristic suffix or prefix that is added. Krishna is Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Param Pavitram, Paramam Pavitram. He is supreme pure. He is supreme Brahman. He is a supreme abode. He is a supreme resting place or shelter for everyone. So like that, Krishna is characteristic, uniquely different and distinct from all of us, from every living being. No living being can become God or can become as powerful or as great as God. That's not possible. Also, we discussed about the size of the soul, the dimension, 1/10,000 part of the tip of the hair point in size. So it's very, very, very tiny. This information is given in the Upanishads. In the Shvetashvatara Upanishad it is given. It is a spiritual atom. It's a very, very tiny. The soul is a spiritual atom. And it can be perceived by perfect intelligence. There's a way how to perceive the soul. Perfect intelligence. That's what the Upanishad explains. Now, there are some analogies given how the influence of the soul is spread throughout the body. Whether the body is a tiny body of a very insignificant germ, or it is the body of a huge elephant or a whale, it is the soul spreads the influence over the entire body. So it is just like the example is given, when we take some medicine, then the active principle of the medicine is spread throughout the body through the blood circulation. Similarly, let's say somebody wants to check out the taste of potassium cyanide. Potassium cyanide is a deadly poison. If a small bit of this potassium cyanide is placed on the tongue, many scientists have been trying to ascertain what is the taste of this potassium cyanide, because they cannot find out the taste, because as soon as it is placed on the tongue, instantly there is death. So you can imagine how fast that active principle of the potassium cyanide, the poison, spreads and immediately kills the person. Just he places it, before he can even write down what is the taste, immediately death. The scientists are not able to ascertain the taste. So like this, if a material thing, the potency of which can be spread almost instantaneously, so what to speak of the soul? The soul spreads its influence throughout the body, even though it is very, 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 very tiny. So the understanding is, again another example is given, the sun is localized in a particular place in the universe. Compared to the size of the universe, the sun is quite small as a planet. But that sun, it gives heat and light to millions of planets all over the universe. The sun is in one place, but the sunshine is spread throughout the universe. Similarly, the soul is localized in one place, a tiny particle, spiritual atom, but its influence is spread throughout this body. Compared to the size of the soul, this body is very, very, very big, very big. But still, the influence of the soul is spread perfectly throughout this body, and that is the potency or potential of the soul. I should remember this. That's the potential of the soul. Now, Vedic science versus modern science, if we try to compare, Vedic science says that the individual soul, that is each one of us within this body, I am seated in the heart region, and along with me, Krishna as the super soul is also seated in the same body next to me. So the soul and the super soul both are seated in this body. And the soul is the source of all energies in this body. All the energies are emanating from the heart, but it is not the heart which is actually the source of energy, it is the soul. Now, modern science accepts the heart as the seat of all energies, but the modern science, they are unable to ascertain that the soul is the source of these energies. That they are not able to ascertain, because they cannot detect the soul by their instruments or by their experiments or whatever. But as the scriptures explain, you can perceive the presence of the soul by perfect intelligence. Now, the soul itself, sometimes people mistake it to be something like the soul and the super soul, Atma and Paramatma, they think is one, is same. Some people have this misunderstanding, wrong understanding. No, Atma and Paramatma, or the soul and the super soul, are two. Always two different identities. Now, sometimes people think that after liberation I become one with God or with the super soul. No, there is no possibility. As I said, the Bhagavad-Gita ascertains or emphasizes that the soul cannot be broken, cannot be joined, cannot be changed. So, a soul cannot be split, cannot be cut. So, therefore, there is no such thing as soul becomes one with the super soul. No, that is never a possibility, never a correct understanding. Now, Krishna is emphasizing one more point, that the body is perishable and the soul is indestructible, is eternally present. So, therefore, he is telling Arjuna, don't lament for the loss of the body. The body is perishable. It is going to die, if not today, after a few years, or maximum after 100 years, the body is going to die. And the body cannot be saved. Similarly, the soul cannot be killed, cannot be destroyed, cannot be cut, cannot be in any way destroyed. Soul will never perish. It's imperishable. So therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna, in doing your duty, you need not lament for the loss of the person. The person is the soul and the person is eternal. And after a person dies or leaves the body, then the person gets another body. So what is the basis of getting the next body? It is according to one's work in this life. So the practical application of this fact that we are going to get the next body based on the activities we do in our present life, we should follow the religious principles as given in the authoritative scriptures. Then only we can elevate ourselves in our next life. If we don't follow the scriptural injunctions, we don't adhere to the religious principles given in the scriptures, then we degrade ourselves. And degradation means we have to suffer the inconveniences, the distress, the pains, the miseries, the dangers, the difficulties, the natural calamities. Especially in the lower species, they don't have a sense of understanding that they are suffering and there can be some remedy for it. They don't have. Only a human being thinks that I don't want suffering, still suffering is forced upon me. Can I get some immediate relief? That's the immediate thought that comes when there is some pain or some distress. Immediately, can I get some relief? But the animals, they suffer, but they don't know what to do about the suffering. You see, because they don't have developed intelligence. So degradation to lower species of life is very, very dangerous. Later on, Krishna will describe the greatest danger for a human being is that a person neglects to cultivate Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, and thereby degrades himself or herself to animal species. Next body is certain. After death, we are going to get another body. What kind of body am I going to get? That we should inquire. What type of body am I going to get? So, one has to at least ensure that one is elevated. And it's very easy to elevate oneself in the next life by simply following some very basic principles of religious conduct given in the scriptures. We cannot manufacture our own system of religion. It is given by God and it is universal, it is same for everyone. So there is no question of which faith you believe in or which system of religion you accept. There is no question of accepting or believing. No. It is universal. Just like this body, every human body, there is no consideration when there is an infection spreading and people get some disease. There is no consideration whether you believe or what your faith is, whether somebody is Indian or somebody is American or somebody is Hindu or somebody is it doesn't matter. All these bodily designations and mental the situation doesn't matter. It is independent, it is irrespective of that. So therefore, we should always know that the codes of God is what is called as dharma. And the dharma is equally applicable for every human being. Not just every human being, actually it is applicable for every living being, but at least human beings should follow because they have the intelligence to understand what is this dharma all about. Krishna also highlights in one of the verses, the soul is indestructible, because of which he is telling Arjuna there is no reason for you to avoid this dharma yuddha. Because the soul cannot be killed, neither somebody can even detect the soul to attack the person. They cannot even detect the soul. So cannot be even seen, it's so tiny. So how they can destroy the soul? It's not possible. So what they destroy or what they kill is only the body. So in a dharma yuddha, for a kshatriya to fight according to religious principles is proper. On the other hand, if a kshatriya does not participate in the dharma yuddha, then for neglecting his duty, he'll be punished. So for a Kshatriya, in a Dharma Yuddha, if he does not participate, it is sinful. And for any person who is not there is no Dharma Yuddha. Whimsically somebody wants to simply challenge another king and simply take away his kingdom by force, because I am stronger than him, or I am more powerful than him. Might is right. Simply attacking like that and trying to become powerful, that is against the principles of Dharma. Such a king is punishable by the laws of God. Such a king is punishable. So he has to suffer punishment in future. So we have to understand, if it is not a Dharma Yuddha, a Kshatriya should not fight. And if it is Dharma Yuddha, Kshatriya must fight. So that's what Arjuna is being told, that that's a Dharma Yuddha, you should perform your duty as a Kshatriya. The spirit soul is important, not the body. This is to be also understood, because the spirit soul is the active principle that is keeping the body alive, and the body is moving only because of the presence of the spirit soul. The body is not as important as the soul. Though we don't neglect the body, we maintain this body. As long as we are living in this body, we have to maintain the body. But we cannot spend all the time simply for the maintenance of the body. We should save time for cultivating spiritual life. I'll take some questions now. The first question that is here before me: what is Mayavadi theory that is mentioned in the second chapter of this Bhagavad-Gita? Yes, there is a philosophy or a theory called Mayavadi theory, where the one set of people, they think, or they have this philosophy that there is no difference between the soul and the super soul. It's also called Advaita Vada or Advaita Vedanta or Advaita philosophy. No difference. That's what they say. No difference between soul and super soul. No difference between me and God. Their theory or their philosophy is I am God or you are God. Everyone is God. So this is completely wrong, because in all the scriptures it is told we are very, 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 very tiny part of God. Though we have got the same quality as God, we are spiritual by nature. God is supreme spiritual being. We are same quality, but we are very, very, very tiny. And God is unlimited person, unlimitedly powerful. God is a source of everyone and everything. In the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. In the Vedanta Sutra it is said, Janmadhyasya yataha. So like this, it is very clearly explained. God is above everybody. He is a supreme being. And we are very, very tiny. We are innumerable. There are countless living beings. But God is one. God is one. We are countless living beings. Very, very tiny. We are always controlled in all circumstances, at all times. We are always controlled. Whereas God is the supreme controller. He is the controller. There is nobody above him. There is nobody equal to him. Everyone is subordinate to him. Asamordhva. This is Sanskrit. Asamordhva. Asama. Nobody is equal to him. And nobody is greater than him. Na urdhva. Nobody is greater than him. So everybody is subordinate to him. So this we have to understand. So the Mayavadi theory mentioned in the second chapter is being mentioned by Prabhupada as a fallacious theory, a wrong theory, a misleading theory. So that is explained by Prabhupada that it is a misleading theory. Second question, is the lifespan fixed at the time of birth itself or is it subject to change? For example, if someone has dedicated his life in mission of Krishna consciousness, will he have a longer lifespan? Yes, the lifespan is fixed at the time of birth, but it can change under some particular circumstances. As I explained earlier, the example of the Kauravas, because they insulted the most chaste lady, Draupadi, so their lifespan became reduced and they died an untimely death, akala mrityu. Or somebody gets the blessings of a saintly person, can live a full lifespan or can even extend the lifespan. It is possible. Now, what about those who are devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement, dedicated their life entirely for this movement? Now, devotees never ask or pray to Krishna that please increase my lifespan. No. Whatever our lifespan, we want to simply practice Krishna consciousness and perfect our life to actually go to the spiritual world, to live with Krishna. That's our destination. So, for us, it's not important what is the lifespan. The example is given in the Bhagavatam. Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die within 1 week. He had only 1 week's time. But he decided within that 1 week, he is going to inquire into what is the duty of a person who is about to die, how can he prepare for death. And within the 1 week, he sat and heard the Srimad Bhagavatam and he perfected his life and went back to God, went back to Krishna's abode. Question number 3. How can one remember Krishna at the time of death if he is in coma? Good question. Now please understand, coma means the person inside that body has withdrawn his consciousness because of this comatose condition. So the person is living inside the body. Person is conscious, but the consciousness is not externally active. So externally the person doesn't know what's happening. He's not externally conscious. But inside the person is alive, active, living. All the awareness, everything is there. Of course, a person can experience that I'm not able to communicate to others, I'm not able to see others, I'm not able to interact with others, my own family members. But the person is within the body, the person is living. So before death comes, if the person has practiced spiritual life and can continue to practice spiritual life even in the comatose condition. If somebody had practiced chanting before going into the comatose condition, so in the coma condition also, within that body they can keep remembering Krishna, they can keep chanting Hare Krishna. That is possible. So how to remember Krishna at time of death? By practice of chanting Hare Krishna, by practice of thinking of Krishna, by practice of remembering Krishna in the form of his deity, as the holy name, as the description given in the Bhagavatam, etc. So that can go on irrespective of the medical condition of the body. The soul can always be active spiritually irrespective of the bodily condition. So therefore it doesn't matter whether somebody is in coma or somebody is not in coma. They can prepare for death and they can in that way prepare themselves for death. Means at the time of death, Krishna will give the remembrance to those who have practiced remembering him before death comes. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.